What's going on, everybody? It is Jake, back at it again for a reading. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another reading today. And then I have school starting tomorrow, so tomorrow I have to spend all day doing that. So I'll be back either Thursday or Friday for a channeling. We shall see. Been getting some things, so I'm working on it. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to read the chapter 14 of the Emerald Tablet. And like I told you guys yesterday, I may end up having coffee with this guy. So that's really, really cool. So if that happens, I'll let you guys know. If that turns out, who knows? Guy, like I said yesterday, the guy was like, when I see my family in Chicago, whenever that is, just I'll let you know. And then maybe we can work something out. So it may not even be anytime soon. But it's really nice that, this guy, reached out to me. So it's really nice. But I am continuing, so chapter 14, conjunction, creating the overself. So this is going to be kind of like the marriage of the sun and the moon, the marriage of the masculine and feminine inside us. And this is probably my favorite chapter, like I was saying last time I was reading this. So not my favorite chapter, but one of my favorite concepts, I guess you can say. So let's get into it. This will probably be a half hour. I'm not trying to be on here for an hour, so we'll see. So conjunction, creating the overself, the dance of the cockerel. All right, here we go. The new perspectives and energy released from the breakdown and reclassification of psychic structures during separation gives the alchemist the strength to divorce himself from sterile mental marriages, stubborn beliefs and attitudes involving the ego's striving to build fame, fortune, and family. The alchemists called these goal-oriented constellations of mental energy conjunctions, and the multifarious unions of spirit with ego were known as terrestrial conjunctions. Breaking up these spiritually unproductive earthly marriages was the job of the first three steps of the ladder of alchemy: calcination, dissolution, and separation. If those operations were successful, only the most genuine and essential parts of the matter at hand were left in the vessel of transformation. In spiritual terms, these essences are the very soul and spirit of the alchemist, and it is now time for these two most basic components to reunite in a new conjunction. The alchemist saw this process as one of passionate love-making, driven by the desires of archetypal masculine and feminine forces. Not surprisingly, the bird of conjunction is the cockerel, the young and virile rooster. As the symbol of male spirit, it is his job to seek out and seduce the female soul. Ancient philosophers saw the human body not as a physiological machine, but as a vessel for soul and spirit. Though many people today confuse these two for one another, spirit and soul are really two separate and unique entities. Spirit, our inner king, is constantly striving for the higher realms, constantly seeking something better. But soul, our inner queen, is not totally committed to perfection for its own sake. Instead, the soul feeds on the fire of existence with all its foibles and catastrophes. As the expression of the one thing in man, soul is closely connected to matter in the body. She is not interested in explanations or one theory that accounts for everything. She longs for storytelling and imagery. Food for the soul comes from everyday living, and she feels burdened by spiritual or mental disciplines. The lunar soul of the queen feels comfortable in depression and thrives on earthly things like money, home, and family. And it is not just the golden, precious moments that feed the soul, but the leaden, down and dirty, dismal ones too. The soul craves memories and reflection and seeks expression in art and music. The soul transcends rational descriptions and defies order, and her language is images and feelings. The spirit of the king, on the other hand, is concerned with more heavenly pursuits like truth and beauty. He likes to engage in energetic expansion and is responsible for business, science, technology, and the patriarchal world in which we live. The solar spirit is the expression of the one mind in man and feeds on abstract concepts, searching for unifying principles which he can apply to his existence. Spirit is after ultimate but requires the passion of the soul to succeed. And for that reason, spirit must always seek out soul and court her. However, like a third lover, the ego stands between soul and spirit, and until the alchemist is able to let go of his worldly arrangements with this interloper, he will not be able to unite soul and spirit and proceed further in the work. On the psychological level, conjunction is a constellation of a new belief system, less tied to convention and more in line with higher truths. Conjunction is the commitment Akhenaten made to living in truth, and what the Bible asks us to do too. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of the world, reads Romans 12, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is. It's very true. During conjunction, the major effort in one's life is the creation of a unified self that is true to both inner essences and universal truths and can withstand the onslaughts of ignorance, insensitivity, and illusion one encounters in the world. Conjunction gives us the equanimity necessary to carry on with the higher operations of alchemy. And a lot of people ask me, like, Jake, how did you come to love yourself so much? How do you have unconditional love for everyone and everything? But the biggest war is the war with ourselves. So people say, like at the workshop, I remember this one guy asked me that. I know I've talked about it. He was like, I really want to learn to love myself. So I really think working on this step will absolutely help you learn to love yourself. You learn to open up. You look at yourself in a new perspective. You really get to look at yourself, and without an egotistical way, you just have this love because you know that you are a divine person with the Creator. And once you get rid of all of these material blockages, you really start to see the beauty. So, you start to see the gold in the lead, I guess, if you want to put it that way. You really start to be like, oh, wow, I'm actually very, I strive, I'm very passionate, I'm very strong-willed, but at the same time, I know when to not go too far. I know to love myself, to be easy, have that motherly love, take care of yourself, nurture yourself and other people, but then also, you use the masculine to strive and to make your goals. Sorry about that. And basically, this really helps. So if you want to learn to love yourself, I would recommend really reflecting on this stuff. My conjunction, becoming one person. In the 1980s, I returned to Europe several times, determined to discover earlier translations of the Emerald Tablet and possibly finding some leads about what happened to it and the burning of the Alexandrian Library. Though I was refused permission to examine important documents at the Vatican, I was able to trace the Emerald Tablet back to the Muslim occupation of southern Spain in the 12th century. I also made some exciting new discoveries, including a chemical formula encrypted into the words of the tablet, and direct evidence of its connection to the Grail legend. However, during these trips, my exposure to the old manuscripts and drawings unsettled me for some reason, and the images started showing up in my dreams and nightmares. It seemed as if my interest in alchemy somehow caused alchemy to be interested in me. I spent hours just staring at medieval alchemical engravings as if I was absorbing some secret teaching. Man, do I feel like that, and did I feel like that when I first started reading this book. Like I told you guys, every 2 pages I would just be like, aha, eureka, I'm having this moment. And I would just, I think it's part of my multidimensional thinking, because I'm, like the visual, if you will. I'll see an image and I'll get a paragraph of information about it. So these images to me really resonated with me, so I can connect to that. Okay, so I spent hours just staring at medieval alchemical engravings as if I was absorbing some secret teaching like Belinus at the foot of Hermes' statue. Then one night everything seemed to come together in a single bizarre dream that carried unexpected power. In the dream, I was standing on the top of I remember this. This is really cool. In the dream, I was standing on the top of a pile of manure with my bare feet sinking into warm compost. So imagine this, which was full of tiny worms. To my right, I saw a small child drowning in a mound of seeds or wet grain. I cannot tell if it was a boy or girl, but I heard the child choking and couldn't let it die. I lunged to my right to try to break free, but I was so stuck in my own pile of manure that I could hardly move. Finally, after much strenuous effort, I was able to crawl freely of the sticky, foul stuff. As I moved toward the child, I was nearly overcome by a stifling humidity that made it very hard to breathe. With much difficulty, I waded through the slimy but sweet-smelling grain and grabbed the child, just as if it was about to go under for a third time. Immediately, we started descending together, the faceless child clutching my chest. Defying gravity, we rose high above the ground, and I could see thousands of different piles below me with people trapped in them just like I was. And next to each one of them, a small child was trapped too. Engrossed in trying to figure out what was going on, I did not notice that we were heading for a mountain, and suddenly the jagged mountaintop emerged from the clouds. At that moment, the mysterious child vanished from my arms. I was on top of the mountain on a small plateau covered with thick green moss. In front of me stood a waist-high boulder upon which lay 3 palm-sized crystals. I picked up one of the crystals and examined it. The translucent crystal was velvety smooth and felt as if it was very old and had been handled a lot. I picked up the other 2, and as soon as all 3 were together in my hand, they came alive, glowing with a faint green hue and pulsating with energy. This startled me, and I carefully laid the crystals back on the boulder, where they returned to their inert state. Pausing to look around, I noticed that the entire plateau was tilted toward the opening of a cave in the side of the mountain. I walked toward the cave, and the closer I got, the more I realized it was a man-made, probably a mine of some type. I hesitated at the entrance because it was pitch black inside, but the floor was flat and even, so I proceeded. I kept walking blindly until I spotted a dim light ahead. I walked faster toward it, but when I reached it, I couldn't believe my eyes. The source of the light was 2 glowing buttocks. So he's seeing a golden ass right now, embedded in the wall like some fleshy golden ore. What was even more amazing was the way I responded to this disconcerting sight. I stood before it transfixed and humbled, as if I were standing before the throne of God. Inexplicably, I was overwhelmed by a feeling of being home, a being where I belonged. This big androgynous butt was somehow the end of my journey. I woke with a thump as if I had been dropped back into my bed, and then sat up shaking my head in astonishment. I could not help but laugh out loud. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Kiss the ass of God? I like that. Yet from this bizarre dream, I came away with a powerful gut feeling of wholeness and renewed confidence. No dream I had ever had affected me quite so deeply. But what did it mean? Looking back over the fateful dream, I now understand that it was full of alchemical symbols that reflected hidden processes taking place within me, and we're all going through our own stages all the time. The child stuck in the pile of seeds and languishing in the humidity of the libido was my own soul. My spirit was stuck in the trappings of ego, full of energetic little worms, leading an independent, though pointless existence in a pile of manure that grows deeper the longer we live. My lunge to save the child was the beginning of my alchemy, and our rise together was our progress in the work, as we transcended the elements of the below and became one together in conjunction. The weighting elements of the above were represented by the 3 crystals lying on top of the stone, and by bringing these 3 higher forces in me together, I was able to enter the cave of the ancients. There, unexpectedly, I found the tale of my own being, waiting to be embraced like the never-ending Ouroboros that is the result and revelation of the great work. For me, the dream provided a truthful overview of all the levels of my life and caused me to totally revamp my assumptions about what was possible in my life. Combining the forces of soul and spirit within me provided an infusion of energy that gave me new confidence in my thoughts and feelings. Finally, I was one person, and my soul and spirit flowed into one another as partners. The war inside me had ended, and the resources I was wasting in the fruitless battle were now available for better uses. I saw what my life needed, though not from a social or self-centered viewpoint. Instead, I saw what needed to be changed at the core of my being to bring my life in line with universal principles, so I too could finally live in truth. This reformulation of my beliefs and new energy led to behavior and experiences that I would not have previously thought possible, and my new perspective showed me what lay ahead. Much to the surprise of my friends and family, I suddenly quit my $60,000 a year job as an automation engineer to become a freelance author specializing in esoteric subjects. The higher stages of my alchemy were about to begin. Alright, so here we go. Marriage of the sun and the moon. So fundamental are the forces of conjunction that the alchemists usually portrayed it in overtly sexual terms and showed the king and queen, Sol and Luna, mating passionately in a variety of positions and locations. Other images of conjunction include the flaming heart, the fruitful earth, weddings, hermaphrodites, which I'm sure you guys know. hermaphrodite, Hermes, Aphrodite. I think I said that before, so there you go. Roosters with chickens, rams and satyrs, and glue or chains. Alchemical engravings show wizards dressed in half white, half black robes. 2 white birds raising a crown into heaven, or angels coming down from heaven. A red lion partly disappearing into a sphere, or a white bird descending into flames with water and earth below, or also depict the conjunction. Not surprisingly, the primary tarot card dealing with this stage is the Lovers, which represents the union of the king and queen. The moon card is a symbol of their hermaphroditic offspring, the lesser stone, and the strength card represents the psychological result of conjunction, which is the renewed will and energy to carry on in the work and face the coming challenges. Though they often depicted conjunction as outright sexual intercourse, the alchemists were trying to describe inner experiences. They realized that no matter how fervently one desires the qualities of soul and spirit manifested in another person, intimate human relationships often spoil the golden treasure one expects to find. There is hope, however, if we can bring together the idealized essences of soul and spirit that we fall in love with in other people together within ourselves. That's kind of what I was saying. That which failed to become 2 in one flesh will succeed in becoming 2 in one spirit, noted one Renaissance alchemist. Earthly lovers, however greatly they may love, wrote another, must needs bear to be distinct and separate from one another. But you, O unfathomable fullness of all love and virtue of your being absolutely all in all, pour yourself so utterly into the soul's essence that no part of you remains outside. In Tantra, the oldest spiritual tradition in India, I like to look that up. The older things are, the more interested I'm into them, because I feel like the older you go, the more truthful it is. I can be wrong, but that's just that's what resonates with me. Okay, so it was believed that the essences of soul and spirit could be exchanged both spiritually and physically. One example of a tantric conjunction ritual that attempts to harness spiritual forces is a fertilization of the Shiva lingam, whatever. The supplicant prepares an altar consisting of a small vessel filled with water, suspended over a phallic-shaped rock known as a lingam. The sacred rock represents Lord Shiva, the archetypal source of male energy. It sits upright on an egg holder or dish called the yoni, which represents archetypal feminine energy. The vessel has a small hole in the bottom and water drips out on the top of the lingam. You already can guess what this is meaning. The water inside the vessel symbolizes something personal that we are willing to sacrifice, such as our current beliefs or emotional makeup. As the water drips down on the lingam and collects in the yoni dish, the masculine and divine energies are balanced by our sacrifice. That selfless act causes the powerful energy of awakened consciousness, the philosopher's child, to become active in us. On the physical level, the tantric alchemists tried to accumulate the male and female essences during sexual intercourse. The concept is very similar to the practice of dual cultivation in Taoist alchemy. The goal of the sexual alchemist was to tap into the reservoir of soul energies in a woman without losing any of his own spiritual essence. That meant inventing a lot of odd methods and postures to ensure the man did not reach emission, while the woman enjoyed a prolonged orgasm. Surprisingly, the men thought they were getting the better end of the deal. They visualized that's how it goes. They visualized female energy as a serpentine presence named Kundalini, a kind of bodily one thing which could be controlled by the male spirit and absorbed from the female during intercourse. In Western alchemy, the liquid fire was embodied in vitriol and visualized as the 2 copulating serpents entwined around the magical wand of essences. It was thought that great power could be obtained by augmenting the supply of the female energy in the male, and tantric alchemists were credited with amazing feats. It is even said that their urine and feces could change lead into gold, and Taoist alchemists allegedly used their sexual reserves to live hundreds of years. So get freaky and you'll live a long life. Clearly joking. I know some of you guys take things way too seriously. You don't need to. Have some fun with this. Modern tantric and Taoist practitioners recognize that intercourse is a two-way street, and women also share in the exchange of sexual polarities. In her doctoral thesis, San Francisco psychologist Del Sokol documented the transcendent experiences of partners in sex and uncovered new confirmation of the power of sexual alchemy. One typical experience was that of a 38-year-old woman named Sarah and her husband Robert. The couple meditated together twice daily and formed a metaphysical rapport between each other. Sarah reported, "When we began to make love, and somehow I felt this opening, simultaneously, physically and spiritually, as he began to penetrate." All right, so I'm basically getting into some, I don't want to say dirty stuff, but, if it shouldn't offend any of you guys, but if this offends you guys, I apologize. I'm trying to think openly with everyone's perspectives because there's way too many to integrate. So, as he began to penetrate me, I felt it almost immediately. This is fairly typical of these occasions when we have a very transcendent experience. The experience of opening tends to be there right from the beginning. I think it has very much to do with my availability, my sensitivity. It is a spiritual preparation or a disposition that matters, and that sensitivity or intuition that the greater reality is really, really there. That somehow gets wakened up as my body becomes awakened. On this particular occasion, that's what occurred, and this opening felt enormous. It wasn't even physical anymore. It felt like my pelvis literally became a funnel of energy, just widening and receiving this incredible force into it. All of a sudden, the cork was taken off the energy in me and it started flowing out of me into Robert. I think the only sense of form that was left came from the movement. It was just a sensation I was aware of, but what I felt myself to be was not that. I didn't feel myself to be the body. I felt myself to be radiance, tangible radiance and bliss. In that ecstasy, the self was curiously diffused and not really distinct. All there was energy that was somehow being generated between the two of us. But I no longer had any perception of the two of us. It was just what was happening, and I was that. So that's really cool. I believe, a lot of us have those unions during our sexual times with people, where you have that oneness, or you just have that breakthrough where you spiritually feel it, and so obviously that's going to be with the people who, we love, if that, obviously makes sense. So other participants in the study reported similar experiences. One man in his mid-30s said he felt completely possessed and taken over by spirit as he and his lover began relating in terms of bodies of light. That's some shit. Another man described it as a sense of blissful location that began in his head. All right, I'm not going to try to be funny here. This is not the place for it. And extended into his whole body, so the whole body seems to be pervaded by or lifted out of its ordinary sense of self and suspended in pleasurable head-to-toe energy. What people are experiencing in such instances are the subtle manifestations of masculine and feminine energies that are part of any creative process. Now that we understand the doctrine of correspondences of the Emerald Tablet, it should not surprise us that such archetypal forces have corresponding physical expression in the human body. These forces make up the life force itself, and for Egyptian alchemists especially, alchemy was about isolating this principle of life. So I have to leave in like 20 minutes, and I have no pants to wear. So give me 2 minutes. My washing machine just went off, so I'm gonna put a pair of shorts in the dryer. Give me like 30 seconds. Yeah, that would not be good if I went out and I wore pants that kept falling off. Because I've lost so much weight, I literally like the shorts I'm wearing right now, I can't walk up or down the stairs without them falling off. And every single, I don't wear pants unless I'm at work because I absolutely hate wearing pants. I mean, I don't hate, but I just don't like it. So I'm always in shorts. But yeah, that'd be bad. I don't want to go out and have my pants fall every 30 seconds. So thanks for the patience. Passion of the androgen. Among the most disturbing images of alchemical conjunction are those that depict the union of soul with spirit as an act of incest or masturbation, and some medieval churchmen even accuse alchemists of advocating lewd and immoral behavior. However, such imagery is buried deep in the metaphysical roots of alchemy and symbolizes the Ouroboros nature of the forces involved in transformation. According to the ancient Egyptian creation myth, the one mind gives birth to himself from out of the chaos of the one thing by masturbation. The metaphysical fire of his seed is consciousness, which becomes a tool of transformation for all sentient beings with the basis of alchemy. Incest with a sister or mother is another way of expressing this primal act of creation. Sacred incest taking place in both the below and the above is described in the ancient Kabbalistic Zohar. When his mother is separated and conjoined with the king face to face in the excellence of the Sabbath, all things become one body. And then the Holy One sits on his throne, and all things are called the one name. When the greater mother is conjoined with the greater king, all the worlds receive blessing, and the universe is found to be in joy. Such acts of creation are viewed as incest only because they are internal to the individual, whether God or man, and the intersex act takes place between the soul and spirit. However, as in many incestual pairings, the offspring tends to be deformed in some way, and consequently, the immediate chemical and psychological offspring of conjunctions are short-lived. They are gross, though highly potential meldings of opposites, which the alchemists consider grotesque hermaphrodites rather than viable children. They believed the phenomenon of the stone at this stage was unpredictable and short-lived because the energy of spirit was still contaminated with traces of ego. Thus, the stone immediately after conjunction was pictured as a clump of lifeless earth referred to as the letharge, and further operations were required to save it. The rare, totally successful conjunction produces not a hermaphrodite, but a beautiful androgen, in who the forces of soul and spirit are perfectly balanced and coagulated. Examples include Buddha, Apollonius of Tyana, and Jesus Christ. When you make the two one, Jesus said, so listen to that, so Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and the female one and the same, then you will enter the kingdom of God. Boom. Check that out. In other words, we unite with our essences in a synergistic marriage of opposing psychic elements that takes us beyond just male or just female perspectives. Okay, there's kind of an echo in here. I'm going to open the door. It's weird hearing yourself. It's like when you're on the phone and you hear yourself, you're like, I can't really do this right now. All right, so working with Earth. For many people, the most powerful accumulation of female energy can be found in the planet itself, which is 100% true. My friend Bernice Barlow, an alternative healing therapist, has devoted her life to helping hundreds of abused youths balance their vengeful masculine energies. Here, let me see how long this is going to be. Oh, I'm almost done. By taking the kids on meditation safaris to sacred sites. This kind of earth alchemy, the recognition of the transformative feminine energy of the living planet, is spreading among researchers everywhere, that we must stop our patriarchal rape of the planet and learn to cultivate Earth's energies, is the number one corollary of this new theory. Some scientists refer to it as the Gaia principle. I like that. After the Greek goddess of the earth. But whatever it is called, it is about an opportunity to transform ourselves and the planet by communion with the forces of nature. Even though the types of frequencies at sacred sites varies, Bernice writes in her book, Sacred Sites of the West, the common bond is that they are clearly distinct and have the ability to influence us on a number of levels, spiritually, mentally, and physically. That is because we are made up of the same components as the rest of the universe, just arranged differently. The life force energies found at power spots seem to act as a bridge between conscious energy and conscious matter. Shamans work with the four elements in much the same way as alchemists. They pay attention to water, our very life force. They try to feel the earth, our nurse and mother. They listen to the wind, the breath of God, and they attempt to touch the fire of the one mind that is embedded everywhere. In the parlance of Native Americans, working with the earth element is known as earth medicine, and sacred power spots are marked with cairns, I don't know what those are, and rock formations called medicine wheels that align the location with the rising sun. Native American medicine men connect to the powers of the above and below by accessing the one thing, what the Sioux call the liman, or the realm of chaos, where power moves freely untransformed. After journeying to this hidden realm and mastering the powers of the other side, the medicine man returns to share his visions and energy. Anyone can tap into the powers of the planet by communing with nature regularly, but to reach deep enough to resonate the life forces within ourselves requires deliberate concentration. One approach for working with these powers is the Earth Alchemy meditation, which interprets the four cardinal directions as archetypal pathways or degrees of freedom, which define not only our location in space but also our location psychologically and spiritually. In this scheme, the balance center can be accessed from any of the four directions, and it really does not matter what path one takes, as long as one reaches the center, where masculine and feminine forces in our personality can be balanced, and the transcendent qualities of spirit and soul can be united. Here's how you embark on this meditation. In a field or forest clearing, find a central location and mark it with a circle of rocks, or use a natural marker such as tree stump or boulder. A tree stump, sorry. Sit within the circle or near the landmark and face north. So you gotta face north. Now, relax and contemplate each of the four directions as manifestations of the four elements, both within you and in nature. Spend 10 minutes or so reflecting on the following qualities of each direction, and then turn clockwise to face the next direction. The object is to make the like elements resonate between you and nature. First, look to the north. According to traditional Native American myth, the north or polar direction is associated with the earth element. It is home to the powers of the below: night, winter, the hidden sun, the fallen moon, ancestors, ancient wisdom, and unconditional love. It is also home to sacred horned animals such as the reindeer and the white buffalo, or fantasy creatures like the unicorn. So those have been around me like crazy lately. Try to actually feel the archetypal earth, the dark powers of matter, and the planet, as well as what it would be like to be a horned animal surviving in this untamed environment. Next, turn eastward in the direction of the air element. It is home to the rising sun, spring, birth, thought, synchronicity, and new beginnings. Out of the golden sky of the east comes the soaring eagle. Try to feel the optimism of the dawn and the freedom and perspectives of the eagle. Listen closely to the wind. Then turn to the south or equatorial direction, home of the fire element. This is the direction of the noon sun, summer, childhood, passion, trust, and healing. The archetypes of the noontime sun are embodied in animal totems that include family or den-oriented animals like wolves, coyotes, and mountain lions. Someone's calling me. Sorry guys. I swear, telemarketers have just been driving me crazy. It's because I'm about to turn 26, so I have to be, on my own health insurance. So they're all calling me literally from Ohio, New York, Florida, everywhere, every single day. So sorry about that. So my bad. Okay, so wolves, coyotes, and mountain lions, as well as domesticated animals like dogs and cats. Re-experience the warmth of the home fires and the innocence of childhood as you face the source of fire. Now turn to face the west, home of the water element. Since the moon appears brightest after the setting of the sun, native cultures connect the lunar presence with the west. The western horizon is the direction of the sunset. fall, maturity, harmony, introspection, deep feelings, and building confidence through meditation. Its totems are ocean-born mammals such as the dolphin and whale, or hibernating animals like bears. Try to be especially still while looking west and open yourself to its unconscious, intuitive wisdom. Pay close attention to any signs of water in the environment. Finally, return to the north-facing position, but this time try to feel all the varied energies of the different directions at once. Let them come together within you. This is not a thinking process, so you have to open yourself up and let the elements flow into you and harmonize with the like elements within you. I really like that. Like our planet itself, you are too made up of earth, air, fire, and water. Like the planet, you too are alive with yet a fifth element. This is the central spot you created on the earth, the one point within you where all of the four elements come together to create the quintessence, the one living person that you really are. From this position, you can access the powers of the imaginal and spiritual realms in the above, and return to the earth and matter in the below, now able to perceive spirit in all things. So I hope you guys see why I say this is a really good chapter, basically. The conjuncted person. Before conjunction, a person can be lustful and even wanton in seeking his or her other half, and jealous and possessive once it is found. I think we've all met that person, and we've all probably been that person. On the other hand, the conjuncted person is appreciative of the alchemical forces at work in relationships and careers, and tends to be considerably kinder and more sensitive to the dynamics of people. Such a person appears balanced and confident, hard to panic, not easily upset, though still very much in touch with his or her feelings. That inner harmony is proof of the balancing of the elements in the alchemist, and signifies that he or she is ready to move on to work with the forces of the above. In an achievement known in psychology as personal integration, the conjuncted person has found true self-esteem that is not grounded in egocentric lies, but derived from experiencing the united essences within. These are the artistic qualities responsible for the success of writers like William Shakespeare, Thomas Mann, and T.S. Eliot, and famous composers like Peter Tchaikovsky, Johannes Brahms, and Ludwig van Beethoven. The alchemists associated the operation of conjunction with the viral bull and assigned the astrological cipher of Taurus to signify this operation. The Apis bull was sacred to the ancient Egyptians. They believed it was born in the dark of the moon, and they drew the round head of the bull with the crescent moon to identify it. The Egyptians used the appearance of this sign in the heavens to mark the coupling of cattle and oxen to begin plowing. Interesting. This earth sign is symbolic of masculine strength, virility, planning, and bullheadedness. The search of the Taurian is for meaning and value in life, and people born under the constellation of the bull are full of resolve and lack any self-doubt, which can lead to them to being steadfast and even pig-headed. They expect to be rewarded for everything they do and can be overly possessive, but Taurians can also be very patient and dependable. These are qualities of strong leaders, and this sign has produced many famous and infamous people, such as Adolf Hitler, Karl Marx, Vladimir Lenin, Ho Chi Minh, I'm just going to try this one, Ayatollah Khomeini, Saddam Hussein, Golda Meir, Malcolm X, and Harry Truman. Actors Orson Welles, Al Pacino, and Barbra Streisand were also born under the sign of the bull. There can be no doubt that conjunctions are powerful events in a person's spiritual progress, giving us the power of the bull to carry on despite obstacles. The coming together of soul and spirit takes place on the border between physical and spiritual reality, and represents a focusing of self that can unleash enormous psychic energy. But conjunctions, like all marriages, don't forget that, tend to break down over time. In order for the inner marriage to succeed in the long run, there must be an infusion of energy and will from a higher level. So use the spirit aspect to strive to keep the united essences, if you will. And then the soul will obviously help, kind of give that support and grounding, and use both inside you, always to keep that love and that marriage, basically. Like for me, what really helped was to really think of every action in life, all thoughts, all whatever, and break them down. Like, you don't want to make everything black and white, but break them down. Like, know what you're doing, which is the masculine. Know what you're doing, which is the feminine. And always in the back of your mind, have that analytical, okay, I'm doing this and this, and I'm doing this, I'm going to merge these, and I need this. Or, for example, in my life, right now, I need more of the feminine than the masculine, because I'll go through times of I'm way too hard on myself for everything I do. Just funny because, like, I know no one's perfect, but I always feel like I can do more. So I'm always working on my masculine side so strongly that lately I've really had to learn to I'm forgetting the word right now. Just basically use the motherly, nurture. That's what I was looking for. I have to nurture myself, take care of myself, be easy on myself, make my goals, so I don't fail before I even get there, Use that love inside and that grounding inside to support your other half so you can keep going forward, if that makes sense. That living inspiration from above is what the alchemists called fermentation. So fermentation, which is fire in the soul, is the next chapter. So, okay, I went 8 minutes over. That's really not bad. So that's good. This was a lot longer than I thought it would be. So that's kind of funny. So, all right, y'all. Well, where'd my bookmark go? Whatever. It's not important. I know where I'm at. So, all right, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. Basically having that androgynon, having that love on both sides of yourself. You're always constantly being open. You're always constantly protecting yourself, loving yourself. You're always constantly striving forward, and you're constantly putting in the hard work while also at the same time bring in that divine feminine in you and love and honor what you're doing and support yourself. Be the two with you, because, it's like I'll imagine sometimes what, obviously we've all visualized on, relationships, or, I've before when at times where I'm lonely, I'll, daydream about like the perfect, what I'm talking about, like the perfect marriage or like my future, whatever. So basically take what you would want in that other person and know that's inside you and use it on yourself. And that's probably why I've been single for, I know I'm not the greatest looking person, but that's probably why I've been single for like 3 years now. It's going to be probably 4 years soon, because it's like, I don't need anybody. Yeah, I still, I know, I obviously, I would like to find that person in my life. No shit. But it's like, I don't need that, and I'm not in that panic mode, and I'm okay with myself. Even if I don't find that person for 20 more years, I'm content inside, and that's really what matters. So I think that was a very beneficial chapter. There's stuff from the Bible, there's stuff from Jesus, even though I don't like the Bible, but it shows that there's some importance in there. So I think he really touched on a lot of stuff. So definitely reflect, meditate on this, do what you guys do, and I will be back Thursday or Friday. So yeah, I will stop it there. So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys being here and supporting me, like I always say. So thank you. Have a blessed night or day wherever you are. It's 5:10 p.m. here. So have a blessed day. Stay safe. It's probably icy at a lot of like your guys' places. Though the snow really went down and got warmer here, but everyone lives somewhere different, so be careful. Be careful driving tonight if you gotta drive in a storm or whatever. And always release yourself to spirit if you're ever lost and you don't know what to do. I want to say let go and let God, but that's such an overused phrase, and most people don't really understand what it means until you really do it. So let it go to spirit. Don't worry. And like I've been telling, I told 3 people this yesterday because this has really helped me recently. The less resistance you have of anything, I mean, especially change, because change, a lot of people don't like it. The less resistance you have in your body and in your mind and your psyche and in your spirit, the less resistance, the less stress, and the less of the tearing down inside you're going to have. So always have, like, try to create the least resistance inside possible. And I've been doing that lately, and my God, has that helped me in tremendous ways. So I really urge you guys, in any way you can, because we're all different, and my ways aren't always going to help you guys, you know. And you guys go through things completely different, but just try to always be balanced, be at an even level, combine the two halves inside you, and always have that inner peace, no resistance, you know. And I think that's really beneficial. So I will see you guys in like 2 days. So, all right, guys, love y'all. Take care. Peace.